all right, everyone. What 30 days of going live has taught me. All right. I don't know why this thing is like I almost want to act up to a certain extent. All right, everyone. So, what 30 days of going live had taught me? And shall I correct, 31 days of going live, what that has taught me. Pretty much, it taught me a lot. And so I'm in a group that April, the content marketer queen, she has on Facebook. And of course, she's all over, the internet anyway. And she came on and said that in her content marketing school, she had pretty much challenged everyone to go live every day for the month of August. And then, you know what? You know how sometimes the universe just come together because I said I was going to do it anyway. So just by having sometimes an external connection, it helps. And so what I want to do is I want to share with you what I learned, and what I learned is something I know that you can get out of it as well. So, for those of you who don't know me, I am Sharon D. Brown. I'm the founder of Self Care U Academy and the creator of Fortitude and Free Circle. And with Fortitude and Free Circle, it's for entrepreneurs. And it's for entrepreneurs so that you can build discipline because we definitely need that. We may not think that we do, but build discipline, embrace challenges, and to pretty much thrive under pressure. And that's how we build that resilience. And so, with the 30 days of going live, I'm going to be off kind of like reading a couple of things because I want to make sure that you all don't miss anything. So it taught me about myself, about my habits, and then I would say things about leadership. And I want you to walk away. I want you to really pay attention to what I'm saying. Because I know for those of you who are entrepreneurs, you're 40 plus entrepreneurs, and especially if entrepreneurship is new, but even if it's not, because sometimes y'all, we don't be looking at ourselves, we don't be looking at our habits. We just be doing the task and doing the thing. But one thing about Self Care U Academy, especially with Fortitude and Free Circle, we don't want you to forget about you. So self care really is doing the things for the next moment, doing the things that make you a leader. And so, in saying all of that, so in saying all of that, when I went live for 31 straight days, I discovered my habits. I discovered things about myself and my mindset as well. And I'm going to say some of it didn't surprise me, especially when it comes to my habits. Some of it didn't surprise me at all. It just validated and confirmed some of the areas in which I needed, help with. So, but it also, and let me say this, if you're somebody who struggles with consistency, clarity, and staying connected to your goals, this is for you. This is for you. Put it like this. I was the one, I'm going to say, that was experimenting. But in saying all of that, if anything, is that one of the reasons, and let me start off with this. One of the reasons that I did go live for 30 days is because I do have a habit of starting something and stopping, of not following up, of not finishing. I can be so excited about something and it can be connected, to my purpose. I could be all in alignment, and then something happens. It's like I lose interest, momentum, and things like that. But let me tell you, for those of you who have a calling, whatever your ministry, your movement, your mission is, it takes some dedication. And it's about being consistent in, sometimes it's the stuff that people don't talk about, that goes on in the back of your mind, that goes on the back end of your business. And so what I learned is that you got to be honest with yourself. Transparency is so important. Sometimes you think transparency is for other people. It helps because people can relate to certain things, but transparency is for you. Transparency was for me to be honest with myself of why I'm not doing certain things, certain tasks that I said that I was going to do. I'm like, hey, I'm here for the people. But am I really here for the people, or is there some underlining, we all have it or had it, some underlining fear that can be, again, working in the background. The other thing is that it really did help me, again, see myself, even, I'm not going to say question my belief, but it definitely had me looking at my beliefs. Again, it's about being transparent, because a lot of times, y'all, we be lying to ourselves. We say we want certain things, but then we don't put in the work, or something stops us. And even though I make it sound easy, because I've been through this myself and coming up out of it, because it's like, oh yeah, I can do this, I can do that, but then whoo, something stops. So what is stopping you when it comes to that? And the other thing is, it's like, what is it that you keep avoiding? And when you do a challenge, whether you do I want to say a 5-day challenge, I'm going to say it depends. A 5-day challenge helps. It gets you in the momentum. You have that inspiration and motivation, rah, rah. But when you're doing something, and I want to say a task, because sometimes y'all be doing too much. I've been there too. Sometimes some of you all be doing too much. And again, all of this is connected to whatever your calling is, whatever your assignment is, it's connected. Because if I didn't sit down, especially, and I want to say I've done like a 30-day video thing before, and even at that time, I want to say I was probably even more focused on it than I was this time around, even though I have stuff going around in my head. And a lot of you all are doing that as well. So anyway, I did challenge myself to go live every single day. And with that, there are several things that really came out of this, y'all. And again, some things in which I knew, yeah, I got to get better at that. And then other things, it's like, okay, I didn't know. But one of the things is that, and I knew I've never been a planner. I'm saying I'm getting better at planning. And sometimes I may plan in my mind. I kind of always done that. But as of really writing things down on a consistent basis, I didn't always do that. And that was definitely revealed, because if you're going live, for 30 days or doing anything for extended period of time, period, especially when it comes to your business, y'all, planning. You know, you're wondering why you can't get no sleep. You're wondering why you're falling behind. You're wondering why you have so much to do. Some of it has to do with lack of planning. So be real with yourself. Be transparent with yourself. The other thing is, and I talked about this the other day, that knowing the time of day when your energy is peaked and when you have more clarity and you have the mindset to do the things that you have set out to do. And so, in saying that, and which it didn't surprise me, in that mornings are really good for me. That is one of the things. It's like, you know what? If I don't do this thing, it's almost like, especially the later it gets, it's almost like it gets in the way. And then last night, I didn't intend to do it, but I ended up doing it and it was late. I think it was like 10 something. And y'all, my energy, I was fumbling over my words and all of that. But that just goes on to say, pay attention. It's like when it comes to the things that you don't want to do, you may need to go ahead and do that, whatever your peak time is, because mornings may not be your peak time. Your peak time may be mid-afternoon or maybe later in the afternoon, and some of you guys are night owl. But the thing is to know when your peak time is. And then the other thing is, again, when I talked about planning, it's like not planning out at least days in advance of what I was going to talk about. Because if I know I'm going to go live for 30 days, even if you don't do the entire 30 days of writing out a plan, even though that will be very helpful, because remember I told you sometimes we be stressing ourselves out because we're not planning, we're not scheduling, and we're not doing the things that, to be honest, can help decrease some of the stress. Because y'all, we're redefining what self-care is, okay? So in saying that, there is a lack of structure, because there were a few days, like I want to say for the most part, I knew what I was going to talk about, at least by the time, I woke up. Sometimes I might have didn't know exactly what I was going to talk about, but that's a lack of structure. Why not? And so what about you all when it comes to, your business or your home life? What areas can you put more structure in by planning? Yeah, I had in mind what I was going to do. And it's okay. I would definitely say leave room for being spontaneous, because sometimes there were times in which I saw something in the news or I saw a post. It's like, oh yeah, this would be. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be on the same day. You know what I'm saying? You can, again, when it comes to planning, meaning I would say to at least plan 5 to 7 days in advance if planning for 30 days is too much for you. And so the other thing is that there were times, again, this falls into planning. There were times in which going live almost felt like it was a task. So when it feels like it's a task, meaning that's when I might have felt less that it was connected to my calling. You see what I'm saying? It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to go, I'm going to do it. So that is another reason for the planning. And I would say too, in keeping, your mission, your movement, your ministry, whatever that is for you, whatever your calling is, keep that next to you. And when I say that, that means have it written down. Sometimes you may need to write it down yourself so that it can be a part of you. And so, again, when I ask myself, Sharon, what are you really doing here? Like, why am I doing this? I know why I'm doing this. I'm doing this for so many different reasons. But if anything, because of my own experiences, I want, 40-year-old entrepreneurs to not to have to suffer when there are transitions in your life. And to be honest, there's going to always be a transition anyway. But when you are radical about taking care of yourself, when those transitions happen, I'm just going to say, just maybe it can ease it a little bit, or at least allow you to look forward with something. And then I also had to ask myself, what needs to shift? What adjustments do I need to make in order, let's say, to plan, in order to schedule, in order to say, okay, Sharon, sit down and write these things out. What do you want to talk about? What I want to talk about, and what do you all want me to talk about? What needs do you all have out there? And then, as I said before, pretty much am I connected to my goals, or I'm just it's just one thing. And there are times in which, when it comes to you running your business, sometimes it is a checklist, and sometimes we need that. We do need that checklist. I would say once you do certain things over and over again, you may need less of a checklist or better. But I know me, if I don't have certain things in front of me, I completely forget. I don't even think about it. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. If I don't put it into my ecosystem, then it may not even, get done. And so it is very humbling, I'm going to say, when you are transparent with yourself. Because when you're transparent with yourself first, one, you're giving others permission to be transparent as well. And you're not going to be able to make adjustments during the transitions if you're not transparent, because otherwise you'll kind of just be doing a task. Sometimes in doing things, yeah, sometimes things need to be done. And even when it comes to your personal life, remember, we can't really separate ourselves from our job and our business. Society have you thinking that, but you really can't. That's another conversation. Now, the other thing is the transition. I'm going to say the transition equals the adjustments that needed to be made in order to go live for 30 days. And so part of it was really looking at my schedule and say, what time, since I know mornings are the best time for me, what times are really, really good. Majority of the time, I went live on TikTok around about, I'm gonna say somewhere between 7 and 8, because it was right after I had finished, I said, doing one of my morning routines, and it was just easier, and especially before I get started of doing other things throughout the day as well. So that was easy for me. So what about you? I want you to really look and think about, let's say if it's and one thing I'm going to say about this challenge too, it really helps. Like if there's a habit that you want to develop, do a 30-day challenge. It doesn't have to be going live, but it can be something. You know what I'm saying? And especially like for me, I don't have problems in going live. I've been going live for several years now, and there have been times I've gone live, like on a daily basis. I used to have, what was it? Conscious sharing moments, and I went live like for 10 to 15 minutes. I don't have any problem doing that. But it's saying it's more of being consistent in doing something, period, and then in looking at different things. And so it's like, what adjustments, like what task, behavior, characteristic that you want to change, build, develop, whatever that is for you. And again, being transparent of where you are with that, and then what adjustments do you need to make in order to make that happen. And so again, I know that my energy is pretty good during the morning. So, and that's when I have the highest clarity and just way of thinking and all of that, as compared to like late in the evenings. I'll just say that'll be something I'll challenge myself on eventually. And then writing down the plan of what I'm going to talk about. Again, I want to say I I did it, but I didn't do it. You're going to understand what I'm saying in that, because I am pretty good at spontaneous talking. You give me a topic, I put it in my mind, and I can, pretty much talk. But I'm not saying I don't have a framework in my mind, but again, when you're building a business, y'all, planning things out is really important, and especially you looking at patterns and all of that. So I did get good of writing out what I was going to talk about, because these are the points that I'm going to make, and this, that, and the other, da 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 da. I got a good framework, so I was working that. So I did do that on a daily basis. I hadn't gotten to the part where I did it in advance, like for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 days. But that is my goal there, is to be able to do that, because it saves so much time and it saves you so much energy. Because if I'm spending, let's say, 5, 10 minutes of developing, of doing that at that particular time, then that's 10, 15 minutes times, let's just say times 5 every day that could be saved. You see what I'm saying? So even though if you put in a block of time, let's say 90 minutes, 2 hours, whatever it may be, in order to write out, whether it's 5 days, 7 days, or 30 days, then some people would say, well, it's the same amount of time. It's really not, because the more that you do it, you're going to be developing frameworks, you're going to be developing systems, you're going to figure out different ways of how you can do it. And even though you can do that on a daily basis as well, but you do it so much better, let's say if you're planning out for minimally 5 days at a time, then you do even better when you do it for 30 days. But for some of you, that may be too much. So start off with 5 to 7 days if you're going to do this. And really any challenge I'm going to say that you're going to do, it's just the way that the mind works. And so, and then the other transition was making sure, or at least in recognizing when it felt like a task more so than anything else. Like once I got on, I was good, but still we want to, like definitely have that connection and all of that. And each day is different. But the thing is in recognizing that so you can stay connected to your calling. Because sometimes when you are disconnected to your calling, y'all self-talk and the excuses and all of those other things come into play. So self-care is doing the things, making the adjustments so you can stay connected. And the thing is, to be honest, there are times that you're going to be looking at like, why am I doing this? Is it making a difference in all of that? So there are going to be times in which you do that. And so the other thing is about this challenge, what it allow a transformation. Yeah, it might have started out, oh yeah, to be consistent with the with content creation, but it serves as a mirror. That's the thing. It's like when you really review and reflect and you really look at yourself and you're transparent and you're honest about what you're doing, what you're not doing, what you can do better. When you're honest like that, when you're transparent with yourself, and especially if you can be transparent with others, but always start off with yourself. When you're transparent with yourself and then you make those adjustments, and again, it's not going to be overnight, because like I said, hey, I did start writing things down. I just hadn't gotten to the 5 days or the 20 and 30 days yet, but at least I was writing things down instead of just going off, the top of my head. And there's room for that as well. And so it serves as a mirror of you. It puts a mirror, it's like, oh, okay, I'm really good at this. Again, transparent moment. I need to work on this. And I don't know why it is, y'all, but it's something about being us human beings. Ooh, we don't want to be wrong. We always want to be looking, good. Well, of course, we can be looking good, but, looking, in good light when it comes to things. And the thing is, we may not be good at everything, but we're getting better. How about that? Um, the other transformation is to stick with something even if you don't like it. And it's not that I didn't like going live. I was committed to it. I was like, oh yeah, what I'm gonna talk about today. And then other days be like, yeah, well, what am I gonna talk about? But if anything, the transformation moment was like, I've got to do this early. I would make it another time to do it in the evening. And if I do it in the evening, to be honest, it's not going to be like 30 minutes, because on average with these, I did it mostly for about 20 to 30 minutes. Most of the time they were 30. There were 30 minutes. Sometimes there were a few that went up to 40 and 50. I was like, oh, I got to work on that. Meaning to stick into about the 30 minutes. But if I do it at night, at least my plan for now, it's just to do it at night, and maybe do it like for 10 minutes. And maybe I'll go back to my what I call conscious sharing moments. I'll call it something else. But you all can let me know, like certain tips and things certain things that you want to hear. And so in saying that, let me make sure I had gotten that. And the other thing is, in which I didn't think too much about it, is to pretty much one show up. So I did do that. And I didn't think that I had to be perfect, because that's the thing, is because I feel like that my coming on live is a performance. Because like, oh, like I'm presenting, I'm going to put it like that, like I'm presenting per se. Yes and no, but I'm working on becoming just more natural and more of myself, and so that's going to be, within the next, I'm going to say this next round. And whether or not I'm going to have this format, I hadn't decided yet, but it will be at least, like I said, a little bit more and more and more of me being transparent and all of that other stuff. And let's see. And if anything, I really do enjoy teaching. I enjoy presenting. I enjoy really just sharing what I know, sharing what I experience. Because if anything that I learned in being a therapist is that, one, you're not the only person who's ever experienced this particular thing. And even if something is uncommon, it's surprising that there are other uncommon and unique individuals as well. So that's where that little saying is, you're not alone, when it comes to that. And the main thing is that it really does take repetition, y'all. So when it comes to, it's not just your business, because part of self-care is not just you taking care of yourself, but you're always evolving and transforming and in developing any new habits. It takes repetition. And so if you're stuck, in an area in your life or in your business, I'm not a business coach by no means, but I am really good of really helping people see, where they're stuck at, and helping them to develop some habits, with that, which is one of the reasons that I created, Fortitude Free Circle. And as I said before, with Fortitude Free, the main purpose of that is so that you can, build, discipline, embrace challenges, and thrive under pressure and all of that. so that you can supercharge your self-care, because whatever it is that you're doing, you are either contributing to your transformation or making yourself better, or you're not, so as they say, everything comes with a decision, but it really comes from doing, and which is movement and action, which is the activity to execute and to implement, is part of self-care. And so that's what that means. And so if anything, this going live for 30 days, it has been very transformation, and it's taught me, to plan with grace, give myself grace, to lead with ease, and to be honest, without no shame. And so you may be in a season where you're in transition, or you're building something, or you just want to, again, sustain your sanity, in that, or you're trying to, or you feel like you keep stopping and stop, you keep starting and stopping, whether it's something with your business or even something on a personal matter. What I have found is, whether it's a task or if it's a practice or something behaviorally you're trying to change, and even a thought process, even in transitioning, like, you those of you who know me from my story about crying for 40 days for 40 night, or being a caregiver for my parents. And even though I wasn't a primary caregiver, but still, no matter where you are, it still has an impact. And just by working in the field, a lot of times people don't talk about the stress that comes along, how much I love what I do. But there have been, certain times in my career where it can be extremely, stressful. And so, in saying that, with Fortitude and Free Circle, is for entrepreneurs, is to, help, one, if anything, is to remind you about supercharging your self-care. Sometimes you may need to rest and recover. Sometimes you may need to, okay, let me plan out my month so that I can have some brain power, and you can be, transparent with yourself, and you can practice new habits. And that's the thing, to be honest, a lot of achievements we don't have is because we, I'm going to say, I really believe that most people don't purposely abandon, their calling. Um, but we do. We do. Not intentionally always, but a lot of times it's because, I'm going to use this as an example. People would say, oh, well, the millionaires, they need to pull people with them, bring people with them. But y'all, a lot of people aren't ready. I mean, in my entrepreneurship journey, I'm like, oh yeah, this, that, and the other. And there are some things I wasn't ready for. Mindset wise, I was like, yeah, I want it. Behavioral wise, like when it comes to habits, nope. Nope. A lot of it is a process, and some habits are really hard, because, like, if you're feeling like that you're sleepy, I'm not going to say tired, I'm going to say sleepy, because there are some days I'm like, I know I'm not tired, but you feel sleepy, you feel like you need to go to sleep, right? Not always, and so sometimes we have some habits that we would justify and we will, like, fight for, but it's interfering with your calling. And so with Fortitude and Free Circle for entrepreneurs, it helps you with that. Because you know what? We need that. Sometimes we need reminders, sometimes we need a nudge, and sometimes we need others to celebrate us as well, you know? And that is where community is, and you want to be around diverse, like-minded people. Y'all always say diverse because we don't want to be around people who think exactly like us. Yeah, similarities, but not exactly. But anyway, that's another story too. But for those of you who are ready, who's like, hey, I want to stick with this thing, I need some help, or, whatever it is, especially when you're in transition, the Fortitude Free Circle is for you. So, for those of you who want to learn more about the circle, or who's like, hey, I am ready because I want to be transparent. I want, as I'm going through these transitions, because you want to be transformed. And y'all know what? That's like something that's not going to ever end. We're always transformed, to be honest, but are we transformed in the right way that is in supportive of your calling, that's in alignment with your mission, with your ministry, and with your movement, and with Fortitude and Free Circle? It helps because y'all, we need structure, reminders, and that nudge. And not only that, we need to be celebrated. You know what I mean? We need to celebrate yourself, and then if anything, celebrate, your winnings, and celebrate others as well. So comment, circle, or for some of you, you may have a link or the QR code so that you can learn more about the circle. But come on in, because stop kidding yourself. You can't do it by yourself. Seriously. You think you can, but you can't. You don't start, stop, or lose momentum and then thinking something is wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with you. You just need that support. That's all. So come on in the circle of Fortitude and Free Circle. I'll see y'all soon.